on our YouTube channel for our virtual attendees. I'm Grace Price, a member of the Worship Committee, and I will be one of your worship associates today. Other members of the Worship Committee you will hear from include Dinah Rowe, our church treasurer, and our music producer / coordinator, Alec Peck. We also have Adam and Kate helping us with the audio and the visuals. We welcome you to join us this morning with an open heart and an open mind, and with muted electronic devices, please. We invite you to leave your worries and defenses at the door and trust that what happens here in worship is inspiring and powerful. Together, we affirm that this day and our being together can make each of us braver, more compassionate, and wiser as we begin a new day and a new week. Although our doors are open, the pandemic is not yet over. So while we are here, please keep your masks on and socially distance. We can speak in normal tones, but singing or chanting creates an increased risk of airborne exposure. So we ask you to refrain for the time being. We invite those of you in the sanctuary to sit back and enjoy listening. For those of you at home, go ahead and sing your hearts out. And now I invite you to sit back and take a slow, deep breath as we move into the worship hour. For our call to worship, you are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. This morning, we are pleased to welcome Larry Levi, Master of Arts and Marriage and Family Therapist, and the son of our beloved UUCR member, Janice Levi. Larry says, "This UU church at Mission Inn Avenue and Lemon Street has been a home for me for many decades. I first came to this UU church in 1964 when my parents, Mario and Janice Levi, moved us here from Sacramento. It was here that I went to LRY, which is the Liberal Religious Youth, a UUA youth program that ran from 1954 to 1982. And it's also here that my sister Annette married Todd Lone, and it was here that we had my father Mario's memorial service. I'm grateful to this church for helping to keep my mother happy and vibrant. My dad was a psychologist. I've gone into the same work, and for the last 20 years, I've dedicated myself to psychotherapy and helping people feel more at peace in the world. In my practice in Los Angeles, I specialize in working with the central nervous system to heal developmental trauma, PTSD, and other anxiety disorders. When a person heals from PTSD, they are more grounded, centered, social, and at home in the world. Let's look at all the ways that all of us can be more like that. Our reptilian brain, along with our central nervous system, have done a fabulous job of keeping our species alive through the ages. We humans are great at sensing danger and responding instantly with fight, flight, or freeze behaviors. But what happens when these ancient survival mechanisms meet the modern world? We will look at that and also ways we can better collaborate with these systems, resulting in feeling more grounded, social, at ease, and creative. It is my hope that my presentation will add a bit to your spiritual health and the health of this UU community. We have two lightings of sacred flames. The first one is the occupied Indigenous people's Remembrance candle. The second is the lighting of our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. We walk upon the traditional territories of diverse and sovereign peoples, the original people of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. This spot we occupy was first the sacred space of several groups of California Indians, including the Cahuilla, the Cupeño, and the Serrano. We, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside, light this sacred flame as the stewards of this sacred and holy place. We are blessed with a space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together.
Prickly flutes.
Today's reading of the Chalice Lighting is called Creating Fire by Stephen M. Schick. Is the fire going out? Not in your belly, for you are still alive, but in your soul. That place where dreams fuel commitment, where longings shape action, where meaning flames purpose, where passion ignites and rekindles your life fire. If your soul smolders, dream on till you flame like a chalice of hope. Our opening hymn this morning is We Laugh, We Cry. For those in the sanctuary, please sit back and enjoy the hymn, but please do not sing along.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found our need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. A child is born among us and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless journey as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild, but dedicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of this child. And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found our time to be together. And with the grace of age, we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder, and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we shared with friends, they will linger on, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a place to be together. We have the right to grow, we have the gift to believe that peace within a living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to
We have a tradition here at UBCR. We like to welcome those who are visitors or perhaps returning after some time away. But we know it can be uncomfortable to stand up and speak in front of others, and we won't ask you to do something we wouldn't do ourselves. So I'm going to choose some unsuspecting soul who has been here a while to tell us your name and how you first found out about our church. We ask you to hold the mic close to your face and speak into it directly and clearly so everyone can hear. Before I pick an unsuspecting soul today, would anybody like to volunteer? Okay, we have Linda over here. Thank you, Linda. For our new guests, our visitor's book is in the parish hall. So please sign the book before you leave so that we know you are here and can let you know about upcoming events. For those online, the best way to get added to the mailing list is to email the church office at admin@uuchurchofriverside.org. Now we have a few announcements to share, and this will be done by Alec Peck.
Thank you, Grace. So during the service, we're going to mention several websites, email addresses, and phone numbers. And at the end of the service, we are going to leave up a slide with that information, and it's also available on our website in case you don't catch it when we say it. Some updates regarding the COVID-19 situation. We do have more progress. California has now topped over 35 million vaccinations and has had less than 1,000 new cases per day. California will keep the existing mask guidelines in place until June 15th, where it aims to fully reopen the economy. And after that, the state plans to allow fully vaccinated Californians to go without a mask in indoor settings, and you will have the option to wear a mask if you choose, of course. These are only the CDC's recommendations for healthy living. The US regulators authorized Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccination for use in children 12 and older, and you can make an appointment at vaccine.ca.gov, or you can find more information with vaccine locations at covid19.ca.gov. We all need to take personal responsibility to protect ourselves and to others, because we are in this together. Remember, shelter in place, maintain your space, cover your face. This week is Asian American Pacific Islander History Month, and we'd like to acknowledge a few local members of the AAPI community. Mark Takano. For more than 20 years, Mark Takano has worked to improve the lives of Riverside County residents, both as an elected official and as a teacher at Rialto High School. In 2012, Mark became the first openly gay person of color to be elected to Congress. Mark Takano represents the people of Riverside, Moreno Valley, Jurupa Valley, and Paris in the United States House of Representatives. A quote from Mark: "I believe that America should be a place where everyone can dream and no one is left out." Arundhati Roy. Arundhati Roy is an Indian author, actress, and political activist who is best known for the award-winning novel The God of Small Things, 1997, which won the Man Booker Prize for Fiction in 1997 and became the best-selling book by a non-expatriate Indian author. She is also a political activist involved in human rights and environmental causes. A quote from Arundhati: "Human rights are our fundamental rights. They are the minimum and very least we demand. The goal is, and always has been, justice." Our next hymn is Spirit of Life. If you're here in the sanctuary, I invite you to sit back quietly, close your eyes, and listen. Thank you.
Good morning. This portion of our service is about funding all that we do to care for our church and our community, our congregation. In addition to contributing today, there are several other ways you may contribute. You may mail your donations and pledge to the church office. You can also donate the church using the QR code on the church website and the newsletter, which you can scan with your phone and donate. I also have Stater Brothers cards with me each Sunday here in the church. Staters gives a 5% rebate back to the church with no extra cost to you. You may contact Robert in the church office to purchase Stater's cards. Please donate by whatever method works best for you. Thank you for your generosity. And to those who give of their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. So, our ushers come forward, please.
Thank you, Bill and Bill. Our next hymn is From You I Receive, from Singing the Living Tradition, number 402. Please sit back quietly and enjoy.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, from this we live. From you I receive,
Our meditation today is by Sarah York. We receive fragments of holiness, glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight. Let us gather them up for the precious gifts that they are, and renewed by their grace, move boldly into the unknown. Now let us pause for a moment of silence.
Morning. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. As was said before, we've been here a long time. We came down in 1964. My family was living up in Sacramento. We grew up in a good Unitarian church. My parents were politically liberal. We were raised to think for ourselves. They didn't want us to have a TV until we were in our teens. My dad came down here. He got a job at Norco in the rehab center there. And he came down. I came down with him the first week he was down here. He went to work and he wanted me to kind of visit Riverside and all that. And we got a hotel in La Sierra. It was the first time in my life that I had a TV that I could control. And I sat there all day watching I Love Lucy, and Truth or Consequences, Queen for a Day. My father was aghast. And one of the first things we did was come here to the church. My dad was a psychologist. I don't know if anyone really knows him other than my family here at this point. And he very famously would greet people and greet the new people. And after he died, there was a fundraiser and they put out this sandstone plaque outside dedicated to him. And that was the last time I was on this pulpit, was when I was dedicated and I got up and said a word or two about my father. So I went into the family business of psychology. I was an engineer for many years, unfortunately, but I think I'm a better psychotherapist than I ever was an engineer. And I've been specializing in PTSD. We have this, I don't know if you see this beautiful painting by Chagall. And people see this painting and they look at this beautiful couple above the city. It's called Above the City, Above the Town. And it's really a wonderful drawing of trauma, I think, and the effects of trauma. And this is Chagall seeing himself with his wife, whom he met quite young. And there they were above the city, just in ecstasy and flowing. But it's important to also notice this little decrepit man here. I don't know if you see him down here. And up there, they have no constraints. Down here he is bent over. Down at the bottom here, there he is bent over. And it wasn't until he met his wife that he flew above the city. And there's all the constraints of the world. And he's down here. Up there is a little goat. And he's kind of in the realm of the animals. And that's kind of what we work with PTSD, but it's also how I think human beings live. We kind of find ourselves between contraction, ecstasy, usually somewhere in the middle. And my work with PTSD is to get more flow from this to that. People who've been under trauma where the body's overwhelmed often find themselves trapped down here below. But we human beings all find ourselves trapped somewhere between. And what I wish for you, what I wish for myself, is that we have more flow. Not that we really are always there, but there's a movement between them. And people with PTSD sometimes get stuck down there. And Chagall, this is Chagall and his wife Bella, but we may be skateboarders. There may be other art may bring us up there. I love this wonderful quote by Carl Wallenda. He was also known as Papa Wallenda, of the famous tightrope walker, who you've never probably heard of, but he had this wonderful quote, and that is that all life is on the wire. Everything else is just waiting. And so that was the way he would fly. And Papa Wallenda at 73 years old fell to his death. He was still on the tightrope walking. So today I'd like to talk to you about the nervous system, how we can work with the nervous system, the reptilian brain that we all live with that's kept us alive for eons. And I'm not a zoologist, I'm not a biologist, I'm not an MD, I don't know the intricacies of the nervous system, but I really know well how to work with it. And I'd like to start with a dog story, Ruby. I was up in Idlewild with some friends of mine, and we were taking a walk. We came back, and we saw this ranger. And as we got closer, we saw that he was off duty because he was wearing flip-flops. And as we got closer, we talked to him, and he had this beautiful dog, Ruby, an Irish setter. And that dog wanted nothing to do with it. The ranger was holding on to the chain, and Ruby was pulling back. And probably because of the work I do, without thinking, I didn't think it through. I just said, "Hey, Ron, I have an idea." And I reached out my hand and I said, shake my hand. And he put his hand out, and the minute his hand touched mine, that dog came up and licked us, and all of my friends were going, "Wow, the dog whisperer." But what I realized later was that Ron, here he was walking around, and he met these 4 people, didn't know them. And he just had this very mild apprehension, like most of us do when we meet 4 people we don't know. It wasn't a big thing, but his dog was picking that up. And the minute Ron reached his hand out and shook my hand, the dog felt safe. And one thing to notice is that anxiety keeps that dog safe. So anxiety is our friend. So I'd like to talk to you 3 different ways we can keep our nervous system working for us. And I work with opera singers, and they go up. I was asking them when I first worked with them how they went up on stage. And a number of them told me that they walk up and they don't look at the audience, and they get behind it, and then they start singing. Well, I think one of the best ways that we can manage our reptilian brain is look at what reptiles do. What does a iguana do when it comes back to its den, if they do have dens? They come back and they've left their den, and they want to make sure that they're safe. You know, is there a dog in there? So they come in and they look around, and they look around them. And then when they realize they're safe, they say, "Oh, I can relax here." So I suggest you don't do that. But when you come into a place, when you come into a new place, you open up to it, you look around, your body wants to know that it's safe. So if you indulge me for a moment, just take a look, notice your anxiety level, maybe very low, give it a number between 1 and 10. It's not like we're anxious or not anxious, we're generally anxious on a scale. So choose a number where you are on your anxiety scale. And then take a moment and look around the room. Are you safe? Is there anything here to be apprehensive about besides this frightening little white dog back there? Look below you, look behind you. Notice what you smell, what you hear. You know, I'm saying this, and I see the whole room relax. I think it's told me not to wear my sweatpants. I think that looked right. What do you think? Say, "Oh my God!" I wanted to be a relaxed image. So I want to ask you, how do you feel after doing that, after looking around? Do you notice a difference? So that's called orienting. And what I recommended that the opera singers do is when they come in, walk down, take a look around them, find something that they like, and let their body know that they're that they're safe. Another thing you can do, what does it mean to be present? To be present means that you're in the moment. Trauma kind of keeps us in the past, so we go back, if we have a panic attack or flashbacks, or just normal, if we got something on our mind, we go back to something that happened in the past, this afternoon, a fight we had or whatever. To be present just means to be present to what we smell, what we hear, what we taste, where we are now. And another way of doing that is to collect colors. And what you do is you look around and you notice something you like, and I'm noticing green. And then I look around the room, and I see this beautiful blouse, and I see green in the stained glass window, and just look around and collect where you see green. And you may find that that helps lower the anxiety of the nervous system. It helps us drop down, and helps us move in that direction. So a panic attack might hold us down here at this kind of constricted, limited, not a lot of space for our emotions, for our sensations. So collecting colors might help you do that. That's orienting. Number 2 is anticipation. And I'm sure all of you have seen these buildings that they put when they destroy the buildings, they put dynamite in them and they just collapse. And I went to see the LA County Museum when they, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the front of that, but they just blew it up a few months ago, and I went to see that happen. And I kind of liked the facade, but when it was sad when it dropped. But you know, I was ready for it, and I went there, and the dynamite went out, and it just collapsed. And I was thinking, what a difference it makes if you're walking down the street and a building just collapses. It's like, whoa, what's that? So the difference between those two is anticipation. If you know something's going to happen, the nervous system does not like to be surprised. When you're surprised, often it's not a good thing. Like, so if you know that building's going to collapse, you can just kind of enjoy it. I had a dermatologist, and he would always do the same thing. He would look at my face, and then he would never say, I'm gonna spray you, and this might sting a little bit. He'd go, and for the next 2 days, I was like, oh. So anticipation really helps. So how is that helpful to us? One thing is, I work with people with chronic pain, and this woman told me she went to her grandchild's quinceañera, and she had a great time. And then she stood up after a couple of hours, and all of a sudden this pain came up, and she said she was so depressed, and it ruined her whole day. And my suggestion to her was, don't be surprised. If you have chronic pain, when you get up, before you get up, tell yourself, oh, keep in mind, I'm injured. When I get up, it's going to hurt me a little bit. Don't be surprised. And so if you get up, you say, this may hurt a little bit, you can deal with it much better. If you're surprised, it's like a new injury. So prepare yourself. Another way you could do it, you go to a family reunion, and you got that crazy cousin who always gets drunk, is insulting everybody, insults you, and it always sets you off. If you go to the reunion and you tell yourself, Jack will be there, and he's always rude, and he's always upsetting, and you get used to that idea, and you prepare yourself. When he's like that, you say, oh, there's Jack. So it might work for you. And then lastly, I'd like to do a little kind of body work with you guys. Are you up for that? Okay. We're going to use this drawing, this painting, and I'd like you to think of some event that kind of makes you feel somewhat down in this contracted mode. All I have to do is think about some people I know, and I go right there. And does everybody have that, more or less? And then notice where you feel it in your body. Where might you hold that? Some people are tight in the chest, in the stomach. You got it? Tell me when you got it. Raise your hand. Okay. Now, the more fun part of this is think about floating. When do you feel more like that? Maybe when you're dancing, maybe when you're with a particular friend, maybe when you see your granddaughter, mother. Like I said, for Papa Belinda, that was being on the tightrope. So we got these 2 points in our body. We all kind of there. So you might feel kind of an openness more in your shoulder and a tightness in your gut. And if you can, think about a color. What would a color be for being in this state of mind? The more contracted and the more open.
Dirty green.
Which color?
A dirty, it's sort of I've sweated the shirt all day, green.
Exactly. And that's the more contracted or the more open?
The more contracted.
And the more open, what would that be?
A very bright color, like a yellow, or a color with some flash to it.
Can you show us on your body where those you might hold those?
Well, the dirty green you come across the dirt of my chest and back, and they like that. The more elevated is in my knees, hands, and feet.
So for this little exercise, it might help to choose one of those for contracted and one of those for more floating. Okay?
Yeah.
And, okay, so pick your 2 places. Close your eyes if you like. So bring your attention to where you're more open. Bring your attention to the color. Bring attention to that part of your body where you're more floating. And breathe into it. Notice the color. And just drop in there for a moment. And now, when I hit the gong, I want you to move just a couple inches to the more contracted area. When I say a couple of inches, I mean just a little bit in that direction and kind of hold it there. And breathe in. And then gently bring your attention back to floating, that part of your body where you feel more like you're floating, more like the vibrant color for this gentleman over here on the left. Whichever color you've chosen for floating. And breathe into that. Now, bring your attention over, maybe a little more, to the contracted side. Don't push yourself too far, just move a little bit towards contraction. hold it there. And then back to openness. Now, lastly, I'd like you to find a place between contraction and openness, between the two colors, which is neither contracted nor open. Find a spot where you feel comfortable. Find that sweet spot where it feels okay to be there. And just go to that spot and hang out there a few moments. And then when the gong rings, gently and slowly open your eyes and look around the room and reorient. Okay, does anybody want to check in and say what that was like? You can't promise anything. My hope for you is that you feel like you have a little bit more fluidity and moving between the two. You want to say something?
Yeah, I think we experienced that. That's really nice.
Anybody else?
Very calm.
Good. What, when you sat there between the two? Yeah.
I really appreciate that. I could feel when you said where you go with your downer type, and it immediately went to my chest. Am I reading? And it took a while to get away from that. What I felt was not my chest definitely reacted, my space not there.
But your what?
My space. I was more outside of myself.
I love that the space kind of opened. Yeah.
Feel that. So that was very good.
So the idea, this isn't really like positive thinking. You think of a nice space and you feel better. The whole idea is that you're kind of teaching the nervous system. The nervous system can kind of get locked, and you're opening up the nervous system, and then the nervous system will go, oh yeah, I know how to get there. I've done that. I've done that before. So that is my little introduction to befriending your reptilian brain. And that last, all three of those things you can do. The last one where you kind of notice contraction and openness and move between them. Secondly, anticipating where you might have danger, where you might be contracted, and remind yourself, oh, this may happen, and that's okay. And number one, it's really great for those in entertainment. I did it before walking up here, to orient yourself, and you'll help open your nervous system up. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being so kind to my mother. She really has a heartfelt space here, and I know you appreciate her as well. So it was wonderful to present to you.
Our closing hymn is "'Tis the Gift to Be Simple." Those in the sanctuary, please sit back, close your eyes, and listen quietly.
Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free. where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. 'Tis the gift to be gentle, 'tis the gift to be fair, 'tis the gift to wake and breathe the morning air, and every day to walk in the path we choose. 'Tis the gift that we pray we may ne'er come to lose. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
Our benediction today is an untitled one by William R. Murray. These are the days that have been given to us. Let us rejoice and be glad in them. These are the days of our lives. Let us live them well in love and service. These are the days of mystery and wonder. Let us cherish and celebrate them in gratitude together. These are the days that have been given to us. Let us make them stories worth telling to those who come after us. Namaste, amen, and blessed be.
Thank you, Larry, for sharing your time and your insight with us this morning. Very wonderful service. Thank you again. There is going to be a short Q&A after the service for 10 to 15 minutes. And keep in mind that this will be included in the recorded video, but also after that, you are also free to stay for snacks after the service. There will also be a board meeting at 1 o'clock if you wish to stay for that. And keep in mind, this is a transition time for us. We're still trying to figure out how to work between live and Zoom, but in just a few moments, we will start our Q&A.